Hello, Collateral Gaming listeners. Chazzle Dazzle here from the Trial by Error Variety Show podcast. I just wanted to take a few seconds to invite you guys over to what we do. No, it's not video games, but we do invite really awesome and unique bands from all over the world. We dig deep into their souls and find really cool stories to tell you, and there's tons of music every week, so subscribe to us wherever you subscribe to your podcast. We look forward to having you.
I'm Ashley Chancellor.
I'm Dakota Chancellor.
This is Collateral Gaming. Welcome to Collateral Gaming, the only video game podcast that matters, where we focus on good games, bad games, and everything else in between in the world of gaming. We are podcasting straight from San Antonio, Texas, and yes, my friends, we are a 420-friendly podcast. So whatever you have, be it blunts, be it bongs, be it joints, smoke it if you've got it, my friends. Smoke it if you've got it. And today is our season finale.
Yep.
Season 2 has honestly been great. I mean, if we want to just take a moment to kind of celebrate, what has been, I think, a very successful second season of Collateral Gaming.
Yeah, I think so too. This has been really fantastic. Got a lot done. Talked about a lot of games we wanted to talk about. This will conclude our original list of games that you and I had.
Yeah, this is the very last game that we had on our original list of Collateral Gaming when Dakota and I were planning out the series. This was originally on the list of ideas because originally everything in Season 2 was part of Season 1 because we were bi-weekly originally, and we split it. When we went monthly, we split the first season into 2 seasons. So this is the very end of what we initially planned.
Right.
So the very last episode to be that. So yeah, it's kind of a momentous occasion here. And we've also just had a ton of support. We are super thankful to have, fans of the podcast, listeners, to have fellow podcasters. So it's really been great. And like you said, a lot of the great games we've done this season, like we did Uncharted. This was our season premiere what we started off with, right?
Yeah.
And
God of War.
God of War, oh my God. A new favorite of mine, one of my favorite video games of all time now. Red Dead 2 was great. Death Stranding.
Of course.
Just so many phenomenal games that we've talked about. And only one really bad one, right?
Yeah, Action 52.
Action 52 was the only bad game that we've talked about. And you didn't even get to experience that horror, Dakota.
You showed me. I didn't play it, but I didn't need to.
Yeah, you don't really need to play it to know how bad it is. But either way, we've had a lot of fun times. We've had a great season. So another segment that we started this season more prolifically was the Collateral Gaming News segment. Something we kind of started late into Season 1, but then in this one, we finally made it a full-on section, right?
Yeah, we did. It works out. It's pretty nice because it gives us time to talk about things that we haven't talked about.
Yeah, so
in the gaming world.
Right, and I feel like there's a part of a gaming podcast that needs to talk about that. So here we are, without further ado, Collateral Gaming News. So, Dakota, what is going on in the world of gaming?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't pay attention enough. Well, no, I know we've the Apex actually recently they're doing a crossplay, which is really nice. They're starting that in a couple days.
That'll be tomorrow, actually, as of the time of this recording. Yeah.
Well, there we go.
No, day after tomorrow. You're right, a couple days.
Okay. But yeah, they plan on allowing crossplay, which is, they're doing the beta for that or whatever, which is great because, that'll help a lot of the late night queue times.
Yeah, and no, and it'll be great for us to be able to play together. I actually just started playing Apex for the first time. In fact, we just did a collab with Perfect Paradox Podcast, and I think we were gonna talk about Apex and that recent crossplay announcement. Although we ended up just talking about shitloads of stuff. You should go check that episode out. We should have our version out soon, and their version is available on their YouTube channel. I'll post links below. But yeah, no, we actually had a great time. I was actually super, super stoked to hear that now that I just started playing Apex, I'll be able to play with you, bro, because I'm on PS4 and you're on PC.
Yep, PC Master Race.
I would be, but I hate Windows so much. I don't know if I can adjust.
I feel you though. It's an evil medium that I have to deal with.
The necessary evil.
Yeah.
It really is, because we have some, gaming PC games that we have to do. Another, in this case, a disappointing change, I should say. The PS5 remaster of Spider-Man PS4 is coming out. It'll be available with Spider-Man Miles Morales, and I can't say how excited I am about both of those. But anyway, the in the PS5 remaster of Marvel's Spider-Man, they're actually replacing the face model for Peter Parker in a very controversial move. Now, obviously, we're still going to be using the performance and motion capture of Yuri Lowenthal. I mean, that would just be a tragedy. That would not be the same. But even with the new face, I watched a trailer and it doesn't match. Maybe it just takes some getting used to. But the old voice actor, John Bubniak's face, well, it just fits so well. And I'd gotten used to it with Yuri Lowenthal's voice and his motion capture performance. But supposedly to bring next-gen visuals, what Insomniac is doing is using an actor, Ben Jordan, who has more similar facial characteristics to Yuri Lowenthal, so that the movements are more realistic. As far as we know, that's the only character who's being recast. But at the same time, it is going to be weird. And also, Ben Jordan looks a lot like Tom Holland, like eerily so, and he's very young looking. It doesn't quite fit with the narrative in which we have an older, Peter Parker that's been Spider-Man for 8 years.
Right, that makes sense. You'd want the facial features of a slightly older looking, Peter Parker.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, it looks crisp. The game looks so great. I mean, the characters are even more detailed, and I'm still excited for it. I'm still gonna get it. I'm gonna get the Ultimate Edition of Miles Morales that comes with both that and the remaster, which we're getting at the price. That Ultimate Edition is the price of a regular game, $60. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it. Again, it'll take some getting used to, but I think that as long as we still have our Peter Parker, our Spider-Man as he's written, it's going to be fine. And obviously, I think that they're trying to soften the blow when they use a different actor in presumably Miles Morales if Peter shows up, which I think he probably will, and then in the inevitable sequel. That's about it for Collateral Gaming news. We didn't really have a lot. We had a huge thing, last podcast, so we had a lot of news to go through, but now there's just a lot of exciting things. I mean, we're getting the PlayStation 5 and Xbox next month, so that's going to be fun.
Right, and all the games that launch with it, of course.
Exactly, including Spider-Man and including Assassin's Creed Valhalla, so both of which we will be talking about. We'll go ahead and say that now. That concludes our segment. So today we have a very special episode. Again, like you said earlier, Dakota, I mean, this was the last episode that we initially planned.
Right. No, this is the last one on our list.
And it is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Dakota and I are both huge fans of the Assassin's Creed series, but this is the one I think both of us have played through the most.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's the pirate one, if you're not familiar. It's the Assassin's Creed game that is also a pirate game, very much so. What would you say about the Assassin's Creed series as a whole, for anyone who was kind of unfamiliar with that?
As in, like, what would I say about it? Like, what?
Yeah. How would you describe the Assassin's Creed series to someone who'd never heard about it?
Well, I mean, you kind of you have to understand that the assassins are kind of seen as the good guys in this scenario. You would assume that being an assassin, you're doing very evil work, but in this case, you're actually doing it for good. They have morals. They go behind. They have a blood pact, so that there's that bit of assumption you would make when watching. No, I think it's full of a lot of characters that you'll really fall in love with, particularly this game. Assassin characters really have their own personalities, very much so, and so it's definitely something you'll fall in love with.
Yeah, I love the Assassin's Creed franchise. I mean, it's a stealth action adventure series. Ever since the very first game, it's focused on assassinating targets. It's focused on having like real world historical accuracy and their detail. One thing that the series or the franchise as a whole is known for, of course, is that there's the modern day storyline, which is the existing forms of the Assassin Order and the Templar Order, which in this case is known as Abstergo Industries, and trying to get a hold of memories so that they can control powerful artifacts that were created by the precursors, a godlike civilization before that was named, actually, that we named our gods after. And then, and so the Templars have always been trying to get a hold of those pieces of Eden in some way or another throughout history. And the Hashishin, that was in the very first game. We had the Hashishin, the assassins from the Crusades versus the Knights Templar. And they existed before that, and they existed throughout time. So that's kind of the whole premise. And Abstergo invented a machine that allows you to view the genetic memories of your ancestors.
They call it the Animus.
The Animus, yeah.
It's really cool because they kind of, use that to explain the UI in the game. And so, because you're a character, and so, the menu screens and everything. So it's kind of a neat, interesting form. It also, like you said, there's your real world segments. And so, again, you'll come out of the Animus and do your things. In the first 3 games, they were a little bit different than this one. You actually had a character that you knew, and that was Desmond. But eventually, it's more just like kind of you as the character in this game.
Yeah, this is the first game to not feature Desmond as the playable protagonist following the events of Assassin's Creed 3. I mean, I guess we don't want to give spoilers for any of the other games in case we do talk about them, but Desmond's storyline concludes in that part of the saga. And after that, for the next few games, actually, the modern day segment is you.
Right.
And you the player forming some nameless avatar, and in this game, of course, you are you work for Abstergo Entertainment. So
yeah, kind of unknowing that that you're working for the Templars in this game, especially if you haven't played the other games, you kind of wouldn't understand that you're working for the bad guys in this case.
Yeah, that's one aspect that Assassin's Creed Black Flag brought to this franchise, at least in the story aspect. Now, as far as the gameplay goes, this is unique in that it expanded on the naval combat that was introduced in Assassin's Creed 3. But this time you have access to your ship in the open world. And it's so seamless going from land to ship and ship to land. And, there's the boarding mechanics and looting, and it's a lot of fun. It's a swashbuckling adventure. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag was, of course, developed by a group of Ubisoft developers. That is primarily Ubisoft Montreal, but also some work done by Ubisoft Milan and Ubisoft Kiev. Obviously published by Ubisoft, and obviously, like everything Ubisoft does, their name is all over it. You play this and that, and microtransactions galore, shamelessly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, you're not wrong. Freaking Six Siege is that way. I mean, all the skins you gotta buy. I mean, you don't have to buy them with money, but it's pretty much like to get all the cosmetics are all money.
Yeah, no, exactly. This game originally came on the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, and the Wii U. Later was ported to PS4, PC, Xbox One, and the Switch most recently. So what was kind of cool about Black Flag as soon as it was announced in 2013 was that it was set to feature a new protagonist, a new setting, and a new development team. So kind of emphasizing it as a full-on sequel rather than a spin-off like with Brotherhood or Revelations. Because after doing, the whole Ezio trilogy, people were wondering, where the series was going to go next. But yeah, they decided to just move on. And since then, they've continued to move on. Development itself, goes back as far as 2011. And this was done by a separate team than was working on Assassin's Creed 3. So they kind of have that staggered release in that way. Interestingly enough, it's the first main series title to carry a subtitle in the name. And this was done to distinguish the pirate theme from the rest of the franchise. Now, Assassin's Creed 4 does use the Anvil Next engine, which is what allowed the developers to work with one engine for both the current gen and next gen consoles.
Because I played it on Wii U. You played it on Switch, right?
Right. Well, I originally played it on Wii U, but more recently I did the Switch edition, and there are a number of improvements in it. Also, the soundtrack was composed by Brian Taylor, who was behind Far Cry 3. And then there was also, in addition to the original game soundtrack, a sea shanty and complete edition released. We both have the sea shanties on our Apple Music.
Oh yeah, no, that's awesome. I love it.
We just jam out to it. Yeah. The sea shanties are the shit.
It's good music, not gonna lie. It's just like so entertaining to listen to while you're on the sea.
Yeah, I love that feeling of just sailing out and hearing the sailors and sing while you're going along. And if you don't want to hear it, you can change it. You can turn it off or you can change the song. But it's just a nice touch. And so you get more of this ambient feel. I mean, but the soundtrack is fire too, right?
Absolutely. The soundtrack is awesome. The intro song, oh my goodness, is wonderful. The main theme or whatever.
Yeah, the instrumental is so good. And some remixes of previous Assassin's Creed theme, like Ezio's Family, which has come to be like the Assassin's Creed theme. There was also the Freedom Cry DLC soundtrack composed by Olivier Deriviere.
Edward, privateering. Is it dangerous?
We are not men meant to govern. We take and spend and live heartily wherever we go.
We're moments away from the grandest prize of all.
10,000 times above what we could pull off any Spanish ship.
That ain't a fortune. It's a fantasy.
To fight beside a man so driven by personal gain and glory is a hard thing, Edward.
If you continue on your present course, you'll find you're the only one walking it.
The men who call themselves governors of this island. Charles Vane, Ben Hornigold, and Ed Thatch. Be hanged by the neck until dead.
When I turn around, there's not a man or woman that I love left standing beside me. This will be your fate if you fail to cooperate.
I will choose a new path, but I will never cooperate with those bastards.
One interesting thing that I found out about this game while researching it was that apparently Ubisoft funded the exhumation of the remains of Spanish corsair Amaro Pago so that they could reconstruct his face for the possible appearance in game.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, it looks like a lot of work went into Assassin's Creed 3. I mean, obviously, Ubisoft does develop things fairly quickly, but they have a big team.
Assassin's Creed 4.
Assassin's Creed 4, you're right. I'm too high for this. But I mean, obviously, I think that this game makes a lot of improvements. And I played both. Assassin's Creed 3 was my first Assassin's Creed game. And I remember playing this actually midway through playing that, because I got both on Wii U. And I remember just in the very beginning, the world was so much brighter and more colorful. And I really wanted to finish Assassin's Creed 3 pretty quickly so I could get back to 4.
Yeah, no, 4 is very vibrant. I mean, when you're on the water, it's beautiful. You're not on the water, and you seamlessly get on and off of your ship. It's just really really good game. I love it, dude.
Yeah, I will love the gameplay. Obviously, we've got some of the same stealth action adventure gameplay from other games in the series, as far as the combat and the general gameplay, the assassinations on land stuff is pretty similar. We're going in the direction of Assassin's Creed 3, where they simplified the controls, so you only have to hold down the right trigger to free run everywhere. And there's a lot more that is climbable than in previous installments, but again, this was introduced in 3 along with the combat system, which uses like the one button parry followed by a counterattack or throw. So, but the combat is actually pretty fucking easy. All you have to do is just counter everything.
Yeah, if you counter all the moves, you're pretty much fine. You can walk into a base and destroy everybody without taking any damage. Not that hard.
In fact, it's easier because in previous games, it's always been true in Assassin's Creed that countering is the way to go, because countering is what kills. The counter kills are how you most quickly defeat enemies. But in previous games, you kind of had to time. You had to hold down the right trigger and then press the attack button at just the right time when the enemy's attack lands. With Assassin's Creed 3, it's a one button to parry, and then you get a choice of what to do afterwards.
Right, and then after that, of course, you get combo kills.
Yeah, combo kills. I think Brotherhood actually did introduce those, which I've been playing a lot of recently. But yeah, doing the chain kills actually makes the combat even easier, because you kill one person and you can just continue to kill everyone nearby. And there's no limit as long as you can continue to hit the attack button and move towards the person that you're trying to kill.
A little bit too easy, but
it is a little bit too easy, but maybe that's kind of the point.
Right. Because I guess, the assassination is important, but they were really more focusing on the ship battles. I think that was their worry, that was their baby, the working on the sea naval combat.
Right, and a large portion of this game is the naval combat. There are over 50 locations to explore. It's among the biggest maps in Assassin's Creed, I think, still. That includes cities, islands, sea forts, Mayan ruins, sugar plantations, underwater shipwrecks.
Underwater shipwrecks, I love those.
Yeah, those missions were awesome. Well, okay. At first I liked them, and then I think I forgot how much I didn't like them when I was replaying them recently. Right. Is the fucking sharks.
Yeah. The sharks are obnoxious because it's like you literally can't avoid them. You have to take damage by them sometimes. It's just like impossible.
There's no way.
You can time, those beam push-offs if you do that right, but even then it's just like, no, you got to hide in the seaweed and stuff.
But it's a neat concept. I like the idea of going down with the diving bell and exploring the ocean floor. It's really, really neat. And as well as all of the other side quests. I mean, this game is side quest heavy. And the side quests are just as fun, if not more fun, than the main quest, with kind of a 60-40 balance between land and naval exploration. And this one definitely has a more open world feel and fewer restrictions for the player than in past titles. I mean, the game world itself opens up much sooner in-game than it did in 3. Just right off the bat, you can pretty much explore the entire Caribbean with very few limits on where you can go or where you cannot go. As soon as you get the Jackdaw, as soon as you get your ship, it's yours for the taking. And like we said, there's so much to do. Raiding the plantations is fun, and trying to get those challenges doing. Of course, assassination missions, that's not new. Also, just exploring things, opening chests, and finding the animus fragments.
Oh, there's so many undiscovered chests left in the ocean that I just am too lazy to go get to 100% the game. You just got to go out and get them. But no, that's a lot of fun. It does add to it, And that's honestly where a big source of money comes from in the beginning.
Yeah. No, most of your money seems to do until you start making money from your from Kenway's fleet. The naval campaign.
See, for me, I had an issue because I couldn't connect to the internet, so my money ended up just being attacking Men of War. But yes.
Oh yeah, if you're playing the Wii, well, no, I think the Wii U version might still work, but
our Wii just had
our Wii U couldn't.
Yeah, because our Wii U gamepad was broken.
So we can't connect to the Wi-Fi. But I was able to enjoy the naval campaign once more on my Switch. You know, when this game was out originally, there was a companion app, which isn't available anymore. But
I remember that. I had it downloaded.
yeah, it let you do the naval campaign while you were sailing around. It was actually ideal. So you didn't have to break the action and jump into your captain's room to do that. I like the also the bank in the game. There's always money to collect.
Oh yeah.
Or did they do that in this game, or am I thinking of Rogue?
That's not this one. That's a different one.
Rogue doesn't. Okay, this game doesn't have a bank. You're right, because there's nothing for you to own. But there's so much to plunder. That's what's also fun. Is just random ships, you know, and you gain notoriety by destroying ships. The notoriety system from previous games no longer applies on land, although the guards seem to be very, very strict, and they'll pretty much instantly attack you if you do anything illegal.
And if you either climb a roof or you get too close to them, or they catch you stealing some from somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, and but anyway, plundering ships is fun. You have the choice whether to board ships after weakening their health, or you can just go ahead and sink them. But you'll get more cargo if you take the time to board ships. And what's really fun is being able to you kind of have different objectives, including fighting some members on board, maybe killing captains, killing scouts, or ripping down the flag.
That's one of the best ones, is ripping down the flag, because you get to do your assassin work. You get to climb up on top of the ship and tear it down. It's gonna look really cool. I've kind of noticed that the notoriety on this in the sea is kind of useless, because it's like to a point it's just like you get ships that are just so easy to destroy, and it's worth it.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't take long to upgrade your ship to the point in which you can start destroying pretty much anything that comes your way, no matter how high level your notoriety is.
Right. No, and I love that aspect too, upgrading your ship to make it even more badass.
Honestly, yeah, I prioritize that over pretty much everything else. I prioritize my ship. I built up my ship and had it pretty much ready before I, upgraded my swords even.
Yeah.
The swords were the last thing I upgraded, actually, funny enough.
A fully powered up Jackdaw has, the manpower of any man of war. I mean, it is insane. I mean, it's got the power of a legendary ship, I would say.
Yeah. I was able to destroy the legendary ships before I got, all of my elite plans, though. But I got a couple of them, but I for sure got the swivel. That was the most important. Oh, my God. The swivel plan.
Yes. Yeah, that final swivel gun upgrade allows you to chain together shots, and that's just so important to have. But yeah, that leads us to another side quest mission, the legendary ships. 4, insanely powered men of war that are tough battles. They're like ship boss battles.
There's one of the 4 is actually a double, and you have to fight
it's 2 ships, yeah.
And those things, oh God, there's one of them where it's like super fast, and it's like way faster than you. It's like to ram you.
Yeah.
They all have different something special about them, kind of.
Right, they all have different play
styles. One's kind
styles.
of more tanky or some shit.
Yeah, so you have different battles. I like the one with the 2 ships because if you kill one, the other one lights itself on fire and rams you.
Yes.
So, it's a tough battle, and the ships try to surround you and attack you from both sides. So you have to try to maneuver around.
There's one that just constantly tries to ram you, and you just have to avoid it.
Yeah, you just have to be. Honestly, I found it in that fight good to just be on the offensive and just keep trying to ram it and shoot it. But yeah, the Jackdaw is probably one of the biggest systems in the game. Like we said before, it's upgradable throughout the game, so you can use plunder from ships, from certain missions. You may get plans, which all the elite upgrades you have to get blueprints for, and it also costs the end-game currency reals.
And you have to use the crafting materials too, like metal and cloth and wood, which you end up. There's only a few items that take cloth.
Yeah, most of that was ship appearance upgrades, and you can customize the appearance of your ship as well. And personally, I like to keep everything natural. I like it with the Jackdaw figurehead and the Jackdaw wheel, but I opt for the crimson sails because they just look badass.
I agree. No, I had to have the crimson sails, and honestly, yeah, I didn't really change much either.
Yeah, I like it the way that it is. I mean, I like the kind of the canonical approach. Edward himself also has a lot of appearances. You have different outfits, and even previous Assassin's outfits, which is kind of a tradition in Assassin's Creed games.
I feel like they didn't put enough effort in all the other different items and things you can upgrade the ship and the Edward 2, and that's why his original is just the best, because they put the most effort into that one. You can just kind of tell,
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean. Yeah, I mostly stick to Edward's default appearance as well. Although I did try some of the extra coats or recolors.
Obviously, once you get the Mayan armor, I mean,
the Mayan armor, the Templar armor when I got it, and then the Mayan armor was my end game, and I completed the game with the Mayan armor. Which the Templar armor and the Mayan armor are the only ones that have like special, unique. No, also the stealth
and the hunter and the Wayland.
Yeah,
no, just the hunter one.
So
the
just
hunting one.
Just like a few of them have actual abilities. Most of them are just cosmetic. But I like that the Jackdaw is almost always accessible in the game. You can make kind of a quick getaway. Although I don't like how if you're still in combat, it won't let you grab the wheel. So it kind of defeats the purpose of the getaway.
Kind of. But you can usually manage to hide and be able to get away.
Yeah. You've got your spyglass, which you can use on board to examine distant ships, determine the cargo and strength of ships, and you can get a quick look at like islands and various side quests that are available on those. Remember the hunting system, that was carried over from Assassin's Creed 3, but I will say in this game it's a little less prominent. But it's kind of just exactly what it is. You hunt to craft resources to for yourself, like additional holsters, armor upgrades, and weapon upgrades and pouches to hold more weapons.
That's important. I got to the point where I just started buying them all.
Yeah, you can.
Well, I did. I actually got most of mine. There was I think it was the Husha hides, or the ones, or Huisha, or whatever you say. Those hides, I couldn't manage to find those anywhere at one point, and until I unlocked the whole map.
Yeah, some of them you had. Some of them were worth more than others, and there's also whaling. As controversial as it is, I mean, it's historically accurate. It's what pirates did, and you can engage in that. And the whale skins grant you powerful upgrades. There is the white whale, which was kind of a community event in a reference to Moby Dick, which you can no longer get. Including in the port of the version, just so y'all know, the white whale is impossible to whale. You have to buy it, the white whale pelt or skin or whatever it is. They don't think they have pelts. Yeah, and then there's also the recruiting system that has been in the series since Brotherhood. But in this game, it's pretty much relegated to crew members on your ship. So the combat and assassination assistance was actually removed so that players could stop bypassing challenges in the game. So it kind of added a level, because I guess the devs felt that the series had been made too easy because you could just have other people assassinate for you. I always liked that aspect, but in this game, they're solely pirate crewmates, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and gaining crew is so easy in this game. It's like when you have your crewmates on your ship, it's just like a few of them die, and you can just easily get more, just by finding them off in the sea.
Right. Basically, they're your boarding strength. That's what the crewmates are good for.
Right. Well, yeah, it allows you to use all of your cannons too.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it just allows you to use all of your weaponry on the ship.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to keep your crew meter up. Of course, there is the modern day segment as well. In the present day, you play as, again, like we said earlier, yourself as an Abstergo employee. It's actually in first person, and you kind of have this tablet that you carry around, which is the excuse for an interface in the modern day. Assassin's Creed always has this thing of being consistent, where the Animus has like a HUD, like a game does, and that's the explanation for it. But all of the present day segments, I don't know if anyone's ever noticed this, but there's very little HUD. If anything, the only thing that ever pops up is, you'll see press any button to continue. That's it.
Right.
So, and subtitles and things like that. But yeah, they try to keep it as realistic as possible. But in this game, you actually have the tablet kind of serve as your hub, and you can put it up a little bit, and you have access to a mini map, and it's fun. It's not as fun as playing as Desmond, I will say, but it is pretty cool. You can exit and go there anytime. You can hack other computers with these little like mini games.
Yeah, and you can look at lore. You can spend time looking at lore and behind the scenes a little bit. You can do that in the menus too, actually.
There's a lot of lore. Yeah. I mean, like per previous games, obviously we have the database for the history showing like real life historical figures and entries about the characters that you're going to deal with. But yeah, I like the Abstergo lore in game and all the different various documents that you can find that reference events of previous games, and what's kind of it's your look at what happened post Assassin's Creed 3 to the world. you're very disconnected. I will say the story the modern day definitely takes a backseat this time. Previously, we kind of had this story arc going on. In this game, there really isn't a continuing story. It's kind of its own self-contained. Kind of feels more like just this is just like a placeholder, just like a temporary before they jump into another story arc, you know?
That makes sense.
Just something. And that's fine. For a few games, the Assassin's Creed series does that. And it kind of just, up until Origins, they really didn't have a continuing story going on, just kind of this more standalone. And I think that works for this one. I think the light tone and kind of just the focus overall in the pirate aspect does add for a refreshing change. I mean, in some ways, it's more a pirate game than it is an assassin game.
No, absolutely. That's what it feels like to me. I have more time just loving being a pirate, you know, and that's you are. Most of the game is spent as a pirate. You don't actually join the assassins until near the end of the storyline. Right, exactly. Yeah, Edward doesn't even fly the Jolly Roger with the assassin insignia. That's kind of the logo for this game to the very end, and that's when he joins the assassins. Which in some ways is kind of controversial, but throughout most of the game, Edward is a self-serving. Just pirate. He has a good heart. You can tell he wants to go back to his wife. He wants to make a name for himself. But right, yeah, and it takes the whole game and all of his friends dying for him to realize, that he needs something to happen. Right. Also, the multiplayer mode returned, although it's only land-based. Yeah, it's really weird. But yeah, no, I mean, getting into kind of the characters and the story. I mean, obviously, this game takes place in the Caribbean during the golden age of piracy. And then we also have the modern day segment at Abstergo Entertainment. But our protagonist is Edward Kenway, which is cool because he's the father of Haytham Kenway and grandfather of Connor, or Radun Hagedun, I think it's pronounced, who are both the protagonists of Assassin's Creed 3. So kind of stepping back and playing, finding out, oh, okay, so Haytham's dad was an assassin, and he was Edward, although not until the end again. Right, that's like the last scene you see, actually. Yeah, actually that is, you're right. We also have other real-life historical figures, like most Assassin's Creed games, where, they're known for beating people like Leonardo da Vinci and Benjamin Franklin. In this game, you meet Blackbeard himself, Edward Thatch, or Edward Teach. Yep. You are actually close friends with Edward Teach. Yeah, you are. And actually losing him midway through the story is a heartbreaker. You honestly feel for Edward. Thatch, and he goes by Thatch in this game, although they mentioned the Teach Thatch thing. Thatch kind of puts on this front like, I need to show myself to be scary so they don't mess with you. But, at heart, he's a good friend and he's a valuable ally. And his death kind of is a little bit of a turning point in the story for Edward, in which, he kind of sees this trend of all of his friends die. I mean, at the end, they show that, right? They're all dead. They're all dead. And he has like Anne Bonny left, and that's it. That's it, yeah. So yeah, speaking of which, we have Anne Bonny and Mary Read, who actually portrays the character of James Kidd. Yep. Early on, and before Edward finds out that she's really a woman. Both also being assassins in this game. Yeah, and she's an assassin. She's the one that kind of introduces him to the assassins. We've got other real-life figures who I didn't know before this game, but they actually are famous pirates. Benjamin Hornigold, Stede Bonnet, Calico Jack Rackham, Charles Vane, and Bartholomew Roberts, who is kind of the secondary antagonist of this game, who was known as Black Bart. Also, Laureano Torres, the sort of main antagonist, who was the real-life governor. You have your first mate for most of the game until Anne takes over, Adewale, the former slave who helps you escape. Don't really know if he's a real, made-up character or not, but, I think he's fictional. You've got your pirate crew as well, but I like Ade. He's a really interesting character. He has a lot of convictions, and eventually those lead him into the Assassin Order, and so he joins them and leaves Edward before Edward joins the Assassins, and is kind of the voice of reason, but what's interesting about Edward is he's not prejudiced at all, kind of like Arthur Morgan in Red Dead 2. He's a very out of time character
who actually does seem pretty progressive, although his stance is more like, I'm not really going to get in the middle of things, but he doesn't think any less of a black person, and some of his contemporaries do. So, and he accepts Adewale as his quartermaster, or his first mate. And Adewale says it in the beginning, Edward's like, hey, I'm sorry because they captured the ship together. He's like, I'm sorry for claiming, the ship as captain, but obviously I don't think that they're going to sail under you. And Ade's like, yeah, I know, I'm used to that. And Edward says, well, what can I do for you? And he goes, I'll be your quartermaster, nothing less, and he demands that respect, and Edward gives it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful relationship throughout the entirety of the game. Well, I say the entirety. There are points in which the relationship does kind of, go on the tight end.
Edward pushes away everyone in his life because of his selfishness and his greed. Slowly throughout the game, if for the ones that don't die.
I didn't actually realize they were leading up to that during the game. I didn't see that happening until it was just there. You're like, holy shit.
Everyone died.
They're all gone. And he's alone.
Yeah, he was the only one of his original privateer gang that was left. Which he and his mates were originally privateers, serving together, but turned to piracy and established the nation pirate state of Nassau.
Yeah, I find it weird that Charles Vane, you actually kill him. You kill him in the game, or at least it shows that you assassinate him, but later on, it shows him in a jail cell.
Yeah, which matches his real-life death. That's what I love about Assassin's Creed. One of the things is a lot of your major assassination targets are people who really died at that date on that time. But yeah, that one was weird, because historically Vane does die in a jail cell, but they actually have you assassinate him at one point, and then I guess he didn't actually die. He was just kind of injured. They did kind of mess that one up a little bit, but we also, of course, have the Assassin Order. Again, featured a little less prominently in this one, but Edward definitely comes into them. I mean, actually, originally he kills a few of them.
He does.
Posing as a Templar, but including the mentor Atabai. They're all natives.
Including his alter ego, or I guess only his alter ego, but the person he stole his name from, Duncan Walpole.
Yeah,
but he was actually a Templar. He was a spy.
He was a traitor. Yeah, he was a rogue assassin, and that's who Edward meets early on, and kind of gets embroiled in this Templar conspiracy.
This facade he's created, and he falls into it because he just stole his identity.
Well, yeah, and he finds the possibility of money, and Edward's motivated to get enough money to make a name for himself and come home and have a good life with his wife, Caroline, who he was supposed to only have left for privateering for 2 years, but we can gauge that it ends up being a lot more than that. In fact, the game takes over 7 years. And it's hard to remember that sometimes. You don't usually notice because the dates just kind of flash by.
They do.
And you don't really pay them much heed, but the game takes place over the course of 7 years. So starting with Edward betraying the Assassin Order to eventually redeeming himself and becoming an assassin and getting targets. Humbling himself after, trying to rot away in a jail cell. But he's trying to find the observatory, right? Which was this item that can allow someone to look at anyone's location in the world with their blood. And most of the game is him just trying to chase this fantasy, but other opportunities coming up and interacting with other pirates. Well, folks, that wraps up part 1 of our episode on Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. We'll be picking this back up in part 2, so stay tuned. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Tell your friends about Collateral Gaming. And be ready for Season 3. We couldn't do it without all of you. We definitely wouldn't have as successful of a Season 2 without our fans and fellow podcasters. So keep doing what you're doing. And if you're ready for more Collateral Gaming content, please let us know. If there's any games that you want to do, if you are a podcaster and you want to do a collab, or just have any feedback for us whatsoever, check us out on all social media channels. We are on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the lot. But that's about it, guys. See you next time. Collateral Gaming is an L Company production. All music and game clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.
I thought I heard the old man say, "Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Tomorrow ye will get your pay, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Oh, the wind was foul and the sea ran high. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. She shipped it green and none went by, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. I hate to sail on this rotten tub. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. No grog allowed and rotten grub, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. We swear by our oath for want of more. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. But now we're through, so we'll go on shore, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her.